Oh, yeah, it's your boy Livewire, and I'm back in the motherfucking building, baby. How y'all doing, people? How's y'all weekend going? Mine is cool. I'm chilling. It's Sunday, and I'm just waiting for the games to get started. So this is going to be a fairly quick, uh, you know, little discussion. I'm not going to let it drag on but so long. But as you see by the title, um, when Scorpio drops, PS4 will be worthless. And let me explain. Look, man, a lot of people are very, what can I say? They're afraid. They're very, very, very upset about the fact that the Scorpio is dropping in what, less than 11 months. I'm assuming it's going to come out maybe October, so maybe it's like 10 months, right? But the thing is you have a lot of people that are in the PlayStation / PC community, and they are very fearful of this console. For it just doesn't. It's like you would think, like, all right, when something brand new comes out, you can't wait for it. You're like, oh yeah, it's something new. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be great. But these guys hope it fails. They hope it fails because they're anti-innovation. They're anti-improvement unless it says Nintendo or Sony or some other party other than Microsoft, which is, it's crazy to me because Microsoft's hands are in everything. You know, PC guys complain about, oh, we don't like Xbox and we don't like the Windows Store, which is fine. I understand the Windows Store is fucking work in progress and it needs a lot of fucking work. I get it. But to be so anti everything Microsoft, but you fucking play Steam games on the Windows OS is just like, what the fuck, bro? The fuck is your deal, Mister? I that's like fucking saying I hate Michael Jordan and walking around with fucking Jordans on and shit. Like, what kind of shit are you doing right now? What are you fucking talking about? Like, really? But they just don't see it that way, you know. But yeah, like I said, man, when the Scorpio drops, the Pro is dead. And the reason why I say that is because, one, people aren't buying the Pro like that right now. Like, it sold what, 200,000 in fucking December. In December, it sold 200,000. Now look and listen. 200,000 is for the month of December in the United States of America. You're telling me only 200,000 people wanted the fucking PS Pro? If it was this great, if it was that great of a system, it wasn't terribly expensive. You can't tell me this shit even dropped down to like 320 or whatever the fuck it was. It's just crazy. Or 340, whatever it was. But that's just crazy. People still didn't buy it. And you know why? They just didn't see the value in it. You got all these PlayStation guys running around screaming, well, no, really, this is what happened. The games that came out, they just weren't that great for it. I'm like, really? Tomb Raider, which was touted as the best game for the PlayStation Pro, as far as like showing its full potential, most people didn't buy that shit. I mean, shit, more people bought Tomb Raider when it dropped last year, the same time as Fallout 4, than they did when it dropped this year, the same day as Gears of War. And you got to remember, the people that bought it, I mean, Tomb Raider was coming to the PS4. They didn't get Gears of War. So there's no excuse for them not buying the game. They didn't buy Titanfall 2. So there's another excuse why they didn't buy the game. They might have bought Battlefield, but that's it. Like Tomb Raider, all these people said, oh, when it comes to the PS4, we're going to buy it and we're going to see the real power and this is going to be amazing, and fucking flop. Nobody bought that shit. That shit. You name all these people that are talking about the PS4. I would think maybe even half of the people that bought the Pro have even purchased fucking Tomb Raider, which is supposed to be the best game to showcase what the Pro can do. And even with that being said, we saw the game, we saw that it didn't have PC textures, we saw it just had an up-res, and in some, I think it had a 1080p 60 FPS. Well, no, it wasn't 60, it was like 45 or some dumb shit like that. Like, that's really the best the Pro can do. Like, you know, like for a real graphically powerful game, you might get, if you're trying to get above 30 FPS for the Pro, you're gonna get about 45. So you get like 1080p 45 for like some real like graphical showcase. Not no Madden, not no 2K. Those games aren't fucking heavy games because you're basically stuck in a controlled environment. There's nothing really adjusting that much in that game. But with a game like Tomb Raider, a game like Witcher, which I don't even think fucking CD Projekt Red is just like, no, fuck. We're not, it's pointless. You're not going to be able to do what you think you can do on the shitty ass, fucking weak ass Pro. So it's just like, what's the point of even fucking going over there and making a PlayStation Pro version when it's really not going to look like it? You're not going to get 60 FPS. That shit's out the window. So what are you going to hope for? 1440p upscale? Like, I mean, what's the point in that? So, you know, the Pro is just another sad example of Sony kind of shooting their load too early. You know, the thing that was funny to me about this whole ordeal, especially with the launching of the console of the Slim versus the Xbox One S. The Xbox One S has been beating the shit out of PS4 since its launch. You know, even to this day, still to this day, the Xbox One S is still beating the shit out of the OG PS4 and the PS4 Slim. Now, with the help of the PS4 Pro and the few people that bought that, it was able to overall sales. So Sony's 3 consoles versus Microsoft 2 consoles, they were able to get the overall hardware advantage. But just based on the 2 equivalent sets of consoles that Sony and Microsoft has, Microsoft fucking destroyed Sony. But, you know, that is to be expected, man. You know, Xbox just put out a premier console with the Slim. You know, you have a quality console, 4K, upscale, HDR, you know, 4K Blu-ray player inside. Like, the shit is, it is amazing console. And PS4 just gave you another different redesign of the PS4. That's all it was, you know. But the thing is with the Slim, we all knew that. Let's put it this way. I think most people didn't think the Slim was going to sell, and it didn't for the very beginning of its life cycle until they dropped that bitch about, damn, what it came out at 300. That shit, they dropped it to about 2. I think the lowest was like 212. Hold on. Fucking airport. They ain't no fuck that shit. Turn that shit off. Yeah, but it until the PS4 Slim came down to 212. Yeah, that shit wasn't looking good. You know, that's really when it started to ramp up, and then Microsoft and with their Xbox One S and the PS4 Slim, they were going head to head, man. It's amazing, man. It's amazing shit, man. Like this turnaround that Microsoft made. And the crazy thing is, and throughout this whole thing, I don't know if you've noticed, but this holiday, Sony has not spoken of any of their numbers for the launch of their PS4 Pro. You know, usually the first week, like for Uncharted, they said, oh, Uncharted sold 2 million copies or whatever the fuck. I don't know if it was the first week or the first 2 weeks, but whatever it was, they were like, Uncharted sold this many copies. They didn't say that for PS4 Pro. They could have said PS4 Pro sold a million in its first day. They didn't say that. They could have said, well, it sold a million in its first week. They didn't say that. I was like, man, that's kind of odd. They could have said, oh, PS4 Pro showing great growth. It sold a million in its first month. They didn't say that. When they didn't say it sold a million in its first month, I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? This shit is crazy. And that should just tell you right then and there that, you know, this console was weak and people weren't really interested in buying it because they didn't see the advantages of having this console. Now, to see the thing that people tend to ignore that are, you know, Sony and PC fanboys, I should say, about the Scorpio is the Scorpio is going to be a beast. Period. It's the best console that's going to be coming out. Period. On top of that, you're talking about a console that is drastically better than its predecessor. Drastically. Like, it's fucking night and day. It's like, oh man, how can I? It's basically like it's like Rogers and fucking Captain America. You know, before Captain America became Captain America, he was just fucking Rogers. And then all of a sudden, takes all that super serum, and now you got this fucking beast motherfucker. And that's what the Scorpio is. You know, Captain America, if that's what you want to call it. But that motherfucker is gonna be the truth. You know, you're talking about 4K 60 FPS. People don't want just 4K-ish, 30-ish. Like, who wants to play like Sony really? It's like they want to be in the realm of 4K. They can't really get 4K consistent 30. So everything is ish. It's 4K checkerboard, this shit ish. And it's, you know, 30 FPS unlocked. You know, we're not quite 30 with the 4K. We can't really do locked with the 4K, but we do, you know, ish. You know, unless you're talking about possibly maybe a sports title, they can do a locked frame rate, or maybe a fucking old ass version of a game from the PS3 era. You know, they can do that with a locked frame rate. But if it ain't old as fuck and if it's not a sports title, they can't really fuck with much. They really can't. Like, that's, you know, it's a big concern for a lot of these PlayStation fanboys, and because they're concerned, and because Xbox gamers are excited and waiting for the Scorpio to come out, they are throwing shade like a motherfucker. That shade is being thrown. You know, this past week, everybody's been talking about Nintendo and kind of like they're failing to launch. I would say, you know, like, you know, they got this console, but it's so, you know, and it's not that it's weak, just that it's weak. Like, all right, I don't even think Nintendo Switch needed to be more powerful than the PS4 Pro. But what I did think was it needed to be powerful enough to run third party, which unfortunately it's not even. I don't even think it's a terabyte as far as power. So that's, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, this week has always been about, you know, the Switch not being able to do certain things, right? But people aren't saying the same thing about the Pro, which you got to realize when Scorpio drops, yes, people that are on PS4 and people that are on the Xbox One will still be able to play these games. But when you play a game that launches for the Xbox One, the PS4, the PS4 Pro, and the Scorpio, and you notice that the Pro, the PS4, and the Xbox One, those games play a lot more similar to each other, and the Scorpio just towers above them in performance, A lot of people are going to be like, hold up, this shit is fucking different, right? This shit ain't the fucking same. Like playing a game in 60 FPS, that shit ain't the same. I mean, I just got a laptop. Playing a game in ultra settings, just looking at a game in ultra settings is fucking phenomenal. And Xbox has settings for certain games on insane, which I'm assuming they are holding for the Scorpio per se, because they're not even. I don't know if they're even available. It says, at least on some of the shit, it says coming soon or whatever the fuck. And my thoughts on that is just like we see what the future is going to be. We know Microsoft is going into this, arena of basically giving console gamers, the more advanced experience. Because you got to remember, when OG Xbox came out and when the 360 came out, those games were the best versions of games at the time. Because the PC hadn't quite caught up to where it was performing on a consistent basis. I mean, granted, still it has some issues, but for the most part, that's why you see a lot more people willing to go to PC route, because of the abilities to play games with fewer and fewer issues, right? Now, granted, if you're not a PC gamer, somebody talking about fucking playing games on PC is just like what the fuck? You just speaking Chinese to me. I don't want to do this. No. You got to understand that PC is the best experience. Be like, no, you're not understanding. I don't want to play games on fucking PC. I just want to sit on my couch and I want to play on my TV. No. You got to understand. You could do the same thing. You could sit on your couch and put your rig next to your TV. Be like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to sit in front of my TV and play my console games against my friends on console on my fucking TV. Well, listen, if you go and get a PC, you could adjust it and do all these things. And no, man, it's like, I don't know what it is with talking to PC dudes. They just don't get it that you don't give a fuck playing games on PC. Like, you got to understand that shit ain't for everybody. I will compare it to this. It's like you have two guys, right? And their goals are the same. They both want to be CEOs of a company, right? One guy has aspirations of working at somebody else's company from the bottom to the top and trying to aspire to become the CEO of that company. The other guy says, I don't want to become a CEO of somebody else's company. I want to become the CEO of my company. So he's doing some of the same things, but obviously he has a harder route of going about doing that because he's building his own company. They both aspire to be CEOs. They both become CEOs. One guy who worked for another company, he makes less money, right? Because he can't control how much money he makes. He works for a company, but he still has moved up. He became the CEO of his company, of the company he works for. The other guy fucking worked his ass off just to, get to the same position, doing more than twice the work, but it's still doing the same thing. Like that's the equivalent of PC. Like, some people on the console side, you just want to play your games. You just want to go home, sit down on the couch, play your games, beat the game, enjoy the game, and we progress the same, moving forward, and bam, we finish the game. The same as you would do on your PC, except for, guess what? We don't have to deal with bullshit about worrying about cards. Can this game be played on the PC? Is my computer strong enough? What are my settings? You don't have to do any of that shit. Now, granted, there are benefits to being able to do that for those people that want to go that route. But the PC gamer tends not to understand that not everybody wants to go through that ordeal in order to fucking play games. It's just not ideal for everybody. I mean, it just isn't. I just think people they tend to, as far as PC gamers, they tend to look at only their side. Like, we get why you want to play PC, right? That's well and good, you know, but we don't. Like, that's the thing they don't understand. PC gamers don't understand that we don't want to play fucking PC games. Like, they just don't want to get. They just don't get that shit, you know. But when the Scorpio drops, that's the thing that really irks them because they feel like, damn, I've been spent all this fucking money on this PC. I probably just got it maybe a year ago. You know, it plays games equivalent to maybe a PS4 or a little bit better, right? And with a PC gamer, you're always putting money into your fucking PC. It's like a person that always tinkering with their car. They're always fucking around with it. They're always putting money in it. You know, so you're gonna have like, especially with the Scorpio dropping soon, you're gonna have a lot of people feeling butthurt. Now, you do have the what's that fucking card coming out? That Vega Rising card coming out, so people will be able to buy that are interested in buying that. So, yeah, people that want that, you know, can get it, possibly get a better performance, you know, kick up whatever they can do on PC, you know, and you know they get those benefits. That's all well and good, but for the console gamers, I'm telling you, man, especially most console gamers haven't played, you know, on ultra. Like, most people that play on console don't play on PC. They just don't. So they don't really even know what games look like on PC. But when you play on PC, there is a noticeable difference. It's not like it's kind of noticeable. No, it is noticeable. You'll see the difference. There's particle effects that just don't, you know, aren't there in the console versions. And, you know, with the Scorpio, it's going to bring us a lot closer to what PC gamers are experiencing. Now, granted, the PC gamers are going to be advancing forward because that's just the way the technology is progressing now. So it's not like these PC guys are going to still be where they were before. They're going to be moving ahead too, just like console gamers. So we'll all be benefiting from, you know, this bump in technology. But people hoping that Microsoft fails, you know, so Sony could continue winning the generation, just seems asinine to me. Number one, that seems like it's like Microsoft failing means Sony will become the fucking EA of fucking consoles and shit. I mean, Nintendo's not a real competitor. You know, they don't even get multiplats because they don't compete for whatever reason. You know, they try to be a hybrid in between mobile and console-ish. So it's, I don't know. It's, to me, it's just very funny, and it's funny watching these people get real salty about the Scorpio. You know, it's funny to me, man. These goddamn ponies are you know, they're a little bit riled up. You know, because the thing is, when I say the PS4 Pro is worthless, I understand it has exclusives, right? I get it. It has exclusives, and people that like those exclusives will still want to play those exclusives. So it's not worthless to everyone. But to the average person that doesn't even buy exclusives on either console, the PS4 Pro is a fucking worthless ass console. Like, if you don't play Uncharted and you don't play God of War or any PS4 exclusive, you only play PlayStation for Madden and 2K and maybe Call of Duty or whatever the fuck else, you know, the PlayStation Pro is a worthless console in comparison to the Scorpio. You know, like, yes, you know, you'll be able to play this, you know, similar games, but you'll be getting the extremely dumb, like, the people threw shade at Xbox just for having lower resolution as far as you know, if a game was 900p on the PS4, it was like 720p on the Xbox. If it was 1080p, it was 900p on the Xbox. It was shit like that for like maybe the first 2 years. And until recent, I don't know what the fuck they did. They started, I guess they optimized shit better. I don't know. But like as of recent, a lot more games have been coming out, you know, closer and closer as far as 1080p. Like Resident Evil's 1080p on both. Actually, I think Aliens Isolation back in the day was 1080p on both. Even though Aliens Isolation is a good game, but it does have some frame rate issues on both consoles, which is interesting. I would like to see if they actually fix that when the Scorpio drops. Unfortunately, one of the biggest issues for PlayStation, I don't know, like their games, if they don't patch them specifically, they do not get upgraded performance, which is very odd. Like, with Microsoft games, even the emulated backwards compatible games, they receive a performance boost from being on the Xbox One. Unfortunately, the PlayStation doesn't get the same thing. They have to actually literally go in to each game in order to adjust the performance for the PlayStation Pro, which to me is unfortunately sad. I mean, because the simple thing is, like, you have a game that really struggles on the Xbox One that all of a sudden you get on even the One S. I have games like I see a performance boost on as far as Halo, not Gears so much, but Forza Horizon, Grand Theft Auto. You see a performance boost, and mostly that's during high speeds. Like I don't know, like most people, if you play Grand Theft Auto, if you have a fast enough car, and it's really only seen in fast cars, you're not usually gonna see this if you're driving like a fucking Jeep or some Honda or some shit. But if you got a sports car in GTA, when you move through certain parts of the map, you get a frame rate drop. But you don't really see that often when you play on the Xbox One S. It's only because the Xbox games tend to adjust based on the power that is implemented, with that game. Fortunately, PlayStation doesn't do that. They have to, go in by hand and adjust that. But because the difference between the power isn't that great, it's not something that I guess Sony feels they really need to do at this point. But it'll be interesting to see how games like The Witcher and other games like that play on the Xbox Scorpio. Like even The Witcher, that's another one. You see a performance boost on the Xbox One S. Actually, they really fixed that game up, because I remember day one, that shit was a bit choppy when I first bought it, day one. And over the months they patched it. But now when I go, I can't really enjoy playing it on my Xbox OG as much as I play it on the. I don't know, it just plays better on the Xbox One S, and it's not drastically different. It really isn't. It's just that the difference to me kind of matters a little bit, and that little difference is why a lot of PlayStation gamers said that they didn't want to play on Xbox, because they felt that certain games, whether or not they had resolution difference, and that's mainly what it was. Most games that had better resolution, they just preferred to play on the PS4. Yeah, they might have had deficiencies in their frames per second, but it wasn't to the detriment that they felt like it was worth losing the sharpness they felt they were gaining from the PS4. So now you're going to have a reverse of this, but to a larger scale when it comes to the Pro versus the Scorpio. And my thing on Twitter was, I was just basically saying, like, look, when people see the differences between the Pro and the Scorpio, a lot of people that bought the Pro for more power, or PlayStation in general for more power, when they see the Scorpio, they're going to wonder whether or not they should just jump ship and go to the Scorpio. And some people feel like, oh, well, these people have invested into the Sony ecosystem, and I would beg to differ with that, because let's be honest, most people that own PlayStations don't even have PlayStation online accounts. They don't have PlayStation Plus. They don't. PlayStation also has a small hard drive. So you're talking about most people that have PlayStation either have a 500 gig PlayStation or a fucking 1 terabyte PlayStation. Few have two. All right. Then you also talking about that other people have to, put in externals, the highest being a 2. Not externals, internals, the highest being a 2. And whereas the Xbox, you could have, well, if you could afford it, whatever the highest terabyte you can get, you can plug that bitch in and it works, which is crazy. Like currently I have a 5. I have a 5 terabyte plugged into my my Xbox One S, and I have what am I doing? And I'm using my other one, my other external for my laptop, because I don't really, my OG's in the bedroom. I don't play games in the bedroom like that, so it's like whatever. But the crazy thing is, like, day fucking one, Scorpio drops. Unplug your external hard drive, plug it right into your Scorpio. Bam, there are all your games. You're ready to go. No fucking waiting. No fucking downloading again. It's there. It's already there. And as much as that's major for a lot of gamers. It is, this accessibility to really be able to what the fuck? Who's it? Oh, okay. The ability to really access your games, without having to fucking delete shit all the time is amazing. It's an amazing thing to have for an Xbox gamer, man. And unfortunately, PlayStation gamers don't experience that because they can't use, external hard drives for whatever fucking reason. So these guys are the king of deleting games. I still got games on there. Some I haven't beaten. Some I just, I like to go back to. So I just don't delete them. I just leave them on there. I think I've only gone through about maybe 40 something percent of my hard drive. So I got a ways to go before I have to go and dish out and, upgrade to a higher external hard drive. But, just on that fact alone, because the hard drive space is so small, PlayStation gamers aren't buying fucking digital at the rate of Xbox gamers. They're just not. They don't have the space in order to do it. Xbox guy can buy a game digitally and not worry about moving shit. But a PlayStation gamer doesn't have that luxury, and it's not that fucking hard to do. And external hard drives are extremely easy to get. Shit, most people that even go to college, they might even give you one for free. So it's well, not for free, but you pay for it, but it's part of like your college, your package. You get your external hard drive amongst other things that you get, right? But the thing is, it's not something that's difficult to get. So I'm just saying, man, I don't know. I don't know what these guys that are so upset about Scorpio are gonna do when that bitch is launched. I don't know. I don't know. This PS4 exclusives, as much as people want to be like, oh well, Pro isn't worthless, it has exclusives. No, people don't buy exclusives more than they buy multiplats. They don't. Uncharted is never going to outsell GTA. Halo is never going to outsell COD. And I'm talking about on that particular platform. I'm not even talking about, overall. I'm talking about on that console. They're never going to outsell it because those are heavily recognized games. It just is. It just is. So look, yeah, man. When that beast comes, I'm hoping everybody's ready. Because listen, man, I'm not gonna play no ashy version of no game. Like, look, man, if you got a PlayStation, right, and then you got a Xbox, are you really playing an ashy version of a single player game, especially because that's what mainly PlayStation is known for, right? The only thing I would say is like, all right, if you have an Xbox and you want to really play multiplayer, now that those communities are different. I give you that. It's different, and multiplayer is a deciding factor. Unfortunately, that doesn't run in PlayStation's favor. You know, unfortunately, it doesn't. Um, Xbox has the better online. You know, definitely a better community. So you're gonna run into a situation where there's no real reason to buy a multi-plat um, on a PlayStation, really, especially if you have both the PlayStation and the Scorpio. There's really no reason to buy a multi-plat on that console, unless you're gonna just play with people that are stubborn and decide that they don't, they're PlayStation loyalists, so they don't play, they don't want to play where the games are better. They just want to play where they just want to stay on PlayStation. That's, it is what it is for them. They're Sony to the death of them. That's basically what it is. They might have bought an Xbox 360, but that was only because they literally could not afford a PS4 at $600. And that bitch ain't had no games. But the shit, yeah. Scorpio for the win. I'm telling you, you can write it in your book. I'm guaranteeing it today. When the Scorpio drops, that shit will destroy the PS4 Pro numbers the day, the same launch week, the same launch month, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's going to destroy that shit. Destroy it. Like PS4 might end up losing this holiday, like coming in third place. That shit ain't good, man. Now, I'm not saying Nintendo's, I don't know. I don't know. We just don't know about the Switch until that shit gets in the wild. I just don't know. Like as much as I am like, yeah, that shit ain't for me. I'm a hardcore gamer. That's just not for me. But guess what? I don't play Minecraft, but a ton of people play it. So I can't really say. If people won't buy the Switch. I won't know until we see, what people do when they get it in their hands. I don't know. But for me, that shit ain't. I'm good. I don't play Zelda. I don't play none of them games, so that shit don't interest me at all. But I give Nintendo one thing. At least they're not, unlike PlayStation. The differences between Xbox and PlayStation have become minimal. Over the last couple of years. I mean, they have most of the same games. But with this power differential really boosting it up. And the other thing that we haven't really spoken about is the innovation as far as cloud compute, because it hasn't really been here yet. I mean, yeah, we saw a little thing here and there, but the cloud-based physics games we haven't seen, except for maybe incrementally, but not in something that we could be like, oh man, this is like crazy. And I think that'll be a big deciding factor for a lot of people when it comes to the Scorpio drops. You got Crackdown coming out and whatever else. And I'm assuming Microsoft also has other games that they're working on that have cloud-based physics on it. Because you can't tell me that they have this technology for cloud-based physics and they're only using it on fucking Crackdown. That doesn't even make sense to me. Like they literally went back to the drawing board and started from beginning and started working on Crackdown and did a new and got the Havoc engine to work with it. That's why they bought the whole fucking company. And so with that being said, you can't tell me they're just using that shit for Crackdown. That shit doesn't make any sense. More than likely they probably have a couple of games in development. Shit, they might even have the next Halo or Gears or both, fucking using that physics engine that they developed with Crackdown. So, Scorpio is gonna be big, man. It's gonna be big. Xbox is moving in the right direction. They got a lot of shit to come out. PlayStation is cool. To me, PlayStation is like tried and true. Like what you're gonna get from Sony for the most part, right? You know, you're gonna get a God of War. Granted, they changed it, but when you think Sony, you think cinematic experience. They don't really deviate from that too much. So, you know, they very story based, very you know, cinematic, and you know, semi action oriented. Gameplay is not necessarily a heavy influence in the type of exclusives they have, but most people that fucking review games are fucking movie and TV critics. So to play a game that's cinematic and you know has a good story, to them, I mean, that's why they rate them so high. I don't know if you've noticed, but PlayStation, I mean, actual games like, you know, aside from Nintendo games tend to, because they're simplistic, um, not that they're not hard, but because they're simplistic and you know, they have good mechanics. They tend to get rated high, even without having, you know, great story. Um, and the same thing with Sony, except for you know they have their cinematic games. Uh, their gameplay is average, but you know, the story is what gets the critics. You know, they'd be like, "Oh shit, this will work." You know, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But this is your boy Livewire, man. I'm about to get out this bitch. Just wanted to talk a little bit about this Scorpio Pro shit. You know, like I said, man, that Pro is worthless, man. I mean, if you got a PlayStation, if you don't have a PlayStation, you might as well get the Pro because it's like, why the fuck not? You know, it does a little bit more, so why not? But if you already have a PS4, that shit is worthless. I mean, it is. Unfortunately, it is. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. That Scorpio is about that life, man. That shit gonna curve stomp anything that PlayStation do, man. Shit gonna be crazy, yo. Crazy. And you know how I know? Because you don't really hear Sony run around touting they got the most powerful console. You don't really see it in those commercials. Because when that fucking Scorpio drops, and people are gonna be turning around looking at Sony like, bitch, you said this is the most powerful console. This shit don't look nowhere near as good as this shit. And Sony gonna have, you know, the answer for that shit. So that's why they keep it hush hush right now. They're not talking shit about fucking power. They like, you know what? Fuck power. Let's talk about these games. We got fucking Spider-Man coming out in a couple years. We got God of War. Look, we got other shit. So, you know, let's talk about that shit. Well, yeah, man, this is your boy Livewire. And oh, check out a couple of people were talking to me about they played Sea of Thieves. They said it was some hot shit. I can't wait. I've been waiting for my fucking my alpha my code, but I still ain't getting that bitch. But anyway, you know, I can't wait. But anyway, it's your boy Livewire, and I'm out this bitch, baby. Peace.